So anyway, guys, we've got a very horrible story, horrific story today, which is we're heading to Ryde Road, and there was 4 young girls murdered in 1987. So we're talking about that. You've swatted up on that, John?
I've swatted up on it, yeah. I just couldn't track him down for his release, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk too much about this coward because it's I want to glorify the poor young ladies' lives that were ripped away from them as well. So, but
yeah, but if we're going to do an extended episode, we've got to talk about it.
Oh, of course, Madrell. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to say too much. So, but it wasn't long after. I dated Kathy a little bit, nothing serious, and wasn't long after that this horrific, disgusting thing happened. So, check here. Yeah, so are you all comfortable there in the back?
Yeah.
G'day swingers and good morning. Today is Wednesday the 7th of February. We are on location as we do in most lately as well. We are at Ryde Road, Pymble. We have a very sad story today, unfortunately, a little bit like Donna's. I've got my little raccoon's arse here today. We're doing something different. As usual, we will have John Killick, our regular, on very shortly. It is episode 37. And as I said, swingers, it is a very sad story. This is something that happened on the 23rd of January, 1987. It was a quad murder. 4 lovely young girls had their lives taken away. Very brutal and horrific. And it was very sad. But it's something that should be spoken about. I'm goosing up now talking about this because I knew these girls as well. I knew 3 of them very well, and one of them, not so well. They were lovely girls. They ranged from 16 to 19. It was Kirsty and Jenny Macgregor, both 19. Lexi Alexandria, she was 16, and also Lisa Chatterton, who was also, I didn't know her well, I just met her, was a good friend of theirs. They were going on a camping trip. It was a Friday night. I believe it was the Australia Long Day weekend. And they were excited. They were going on this trip. The brother and father were to pick them up later on, somewhere around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. It was at 9:40 that this person, and I don't want to emphasise this person too much, but I will have to speak about it. His name is Richard Madrell. This ringworm appeared. He apparently had a infatuation with Jenny. I would say stalking these days. I actually briefly dated Jenny at the time. As I said, lovely family. I didn't meet the father. His name was Mr. Sandy Macgregor and had a distinguished career in the military. And also after the military, after this as well. We'll talk about that a bit later. So without further ado, swingers, we will carry on. Mr. John Killick, I'd like to introduce you. G'day, John. Come in, mate. It's a sad one today, John.
Thank you, Macca. It really is. It really is a sad one, and I didn't know the full facts to it.
Yeah.
But
we're getting used to our thing here.
Yeah, but I do now, and it's one of the most tragic. It's horrific, and I just like you to stop and think, because we all watch crime shows, and I didn't know about this, but 4 girls.
4 young, lovely girls.
Yeah, 3 of them 19, 2 of them twins. Another one, 16. They're all excited. They're going out. They're going camping. With some friends
down south, I think it was.
And there's a knock on the door, and the guy at the door, he met the twins in 1985, and he pursued Jennifer from that time.
Stalked her, basically.
He virtually stalked her because she made it clear from the start that she wasn't interested in this particular guy. In the end, the mother was actually, I don't know the full facts, but the mother was in the process of doing
I believe so, some sort of
taking
legal
out
action, AVO, something like that.
To stop him coming.
Yep.
So he's knocked on the door. Jennifer's opened it. The other 3 girls in another room. He said to Jennifer, you have ruined my life, you've made me crazy, but I still love you. And then he shot her dead.
He blew her head off with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Actually blew her head off with a shotgun. Then walked into the other room, and you've got to put yourself in the shoes of those poor 3 girls. Their last seconds, what happened, the terror they were going through.
Horrific.
Horrific. He's turned and he shot the 3 of them. Now nobody else was home. Then he's dumped the weapon, and he went to his grandmother's house where they arrested him.
Yeah, I believe in Cremorne.
Yeah, in Cremorne. Yeah. Now,
real hero. Yeah.
When you stop and think about this, you'd say, well, so many of us don't believe in capital punishment because they get it wrong.
Yep.
But you'd think that if ever there was a case for capital punishment, this was it. But you know what? He went to court, that guy.
Yep.
They found that he was schizophrenic. And
4 murders, and the other girl, Lisa,
yeah,
4 murders.
4 murders.
Acquitted.
So he was acquitted of murder.
Yep.
On the grounds that he was mentally insane. And he's been out. How long has he been out now?
I believe from my research, Swingers, he's been out somewhere around 7 or 8 years. They're for Facebook comments that I've looked at. He did go to a few jails, but he's out. He's having a good life, I guess.
And the public were not made aware
That's
of,
right.
of it. Now, the father, Sandy Macgregor, he was a very clever guy. He went to Duntroon Military College.
As well, he did tour of Vietnam, and he was a tunnel rat.
That's right.
That alone would be terrifying.
He was one of the few guys that went through the tunnels. Because the Americans just used to bomb them.
And a tunnel rat,
went through,
would find someone and
And he actually went over and met some of his former enemies, and he's a decorated officer.
Full colonel, I believe.
Yeah, full colonel, and medals. And as I said, he went to Duntroon, got a degree in civil engineering.
Yes, smart man.
But this had such an effect on him that what he did, he gave all that away, and he started to work on, for his own sake, on the power of the mind, because it's driving him crazy what happened. And he worked on the power of the subconscious, how to overcome depression, etc., through the subconscious. And he got very good at it because he was a pretty strong-minded guy.
Yeah.
And he wrote about 6 books about it.
Yeah.
It split the marriage. They split. His first wife was upset that he was writing books about their dead children. She didn't like that.
That's
and
right.
felt that...
what did he start? I believe he started the Red Heart campaign.
He started the Red Heart campaign, that's right.
Which he carried through till about 2015, I believe. So he's retired
25
now.
Years, I think.
I think so.
He was doing the
DVDs.
He did a lot of these
CDs
programs and workshops.
Yep.
And the other thing he did, which I think shocked everybody, in 2001 he went out and met the guy that had murdered the girls.
Was it Grafton Jail? I believe it was Grafton Jail.
I'm not sure what jail it was, but he actually forgave the guy. Now he got on...
He's a better man than I.
He got on radio and did it first.
Yep.
And then he got on Australia Story and admitted what he'd done and said why he'd done it. And that's when his wife got upset. His former wife got it. By then he'd
I
remarried.
had known her, and I had had dinner at their house
so
quite a few times. Yeah, she was a lovely lady. She was a lovely lady.
Well, she would have been shattered to think that he would have
torn a lot in shreds.
He got 450 letters from people, disgruntled people who watched Australia Story, saying, why the hell would you forgive this mongrel for what he done? It's not fair on the girls.
Yep.
He argued and said, it's not about the girls, it's about me surviving, me being able to cope. And that's what he taught, how to cope with these sort of things.
Yeah.
And he believed in that. I think that...
confronting the man that killed your 3 daughters and Lisa, so four girls in total, was unbelievable.
She was unlikely, she just happened to be there.
She was, unfortunately for her, Swingers, it was the wrong place at the wrong time. And they were all from good schools. I believe Barker College up at Hornsby there. Just tragic, you know. 3 19-year-olds, 1 16-year-old. Just tragic. It's a horrible situation.
Sandy Macgregor is still alive today. He's 83 years old, and I think 84 in March actually. Yep. But he's retired now.
Yes, I believe so.
But
2015, I think he finished up.
I think that you look at people like Sandy Macgregor and Ken Marsley, who's
it's very similar, isn't it, John?
And they've done similar things.
Advocate.
Yeah, they've gone out and forgiven the murderers, and they've started these foundations, which have become very successful, really, and they've done a lot of good. But you have to. I personally couldn't do it.
Oh, no way, mate. Yeah.
I think that there's certain crimes once you cross the line. For me, it's a no-no. You can't come back from it.
Yeah.
And this one was one of those.
Oh, absolutely, mate. As I said, he's a better man than I, because there's no way I could have done that.
But he is on record of saying, that he still believes the man should never be released. That because he was diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and therefore he would still be dangerous. And I think that says a lot about the frame of mind that he's got.
Oh, absolutely.
Macca, if it isn't too painful, I know it's a long time ago, but I know it still impacts heavily. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Can you get it across to those of us watching how you felt when you first heard about what happened?
I can, mate. It was horrific. So I'll run you through the facts I know. I'd been to this house before this incident, probably about 6 months prior, because we dated a little bit, Jennifer, and we were still friends. It was nothing serious. No. We were great friends. I was in the service then in '87, so I was 20. The girls were 19 and 16. And so I had visited when I came up to Sydney. I was based in Canberra, where her father was at Duntroon. We were doing what's called an IET, which is initial employment training for the staff cadets. So we were out bush at Macgregor Range, which is just outside of Canberra. It's Crown land, for 5 weeks, which teaches the cadets how to march, salute, all that sort of stuff.
There's a bit of irony there too.
Oh,
you and the father both went to Duntroon.
Yeah, I was nothing like him. He was an officer in ex-Vietnam. I wasn't any of that, but I only served 3 years. But I was out bush, and that's how I found about it, was on the Daily Telegraph. They got, the sergeants would get papers delivered out there, not every day, and I saw the whole thing on the paper, and that's how I found out. What really happened, and I came up not long after that, I didn't know. I didn't really want to see the mother. What do you say? What do you say? But I do recall I left a small bunch of flowers at the front lawn, and that was it. That was it.
Were you in a state of shock?
I didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So this ringworms, got attached to Jennifer. It was a girl I knew. As I said, I don't think it was that long after I'd seen her, maybe 6, 8 months. I don't know, somewhere like that. This is 37 years ago now, swingers. But the story was, and I want to portray as I know it and friends told me at the time, and the research that we've done, they were going about midnight, the father and the brother, and I'd met the brother. We'd been to the Easter show. We had a lovely day. He was a tall fella. He was an Army Reserve. And we had a good day. I'd met him. I don't actually recall. I don't think I met Sandy, the father. I heard good things about him, and I knew the mother. So anyway, long story short, they were there. I presume the mother wasn't there, obviously. They were waiting to go on this trip. The father and the brother was going to pick them up around midnight, and they were going to head off, an early start, and drive towards Canberra. It was down south. It was a camping trip or skiing. I've heard both. It's one of the two. But anyway, this person rocked up around 9:30, 9:40 with a high-powered 12-gauge shotgun. He rang the doorbell. Jenny, excited, thought it may have been a brother or a father early, came to the front door, and he said, I think you said earlier, to the words to the effect that, you have hurt me, you've destroyed my life, but I still love you. Boom. And pretty much blew her head off at the front door. The other girls, I can't imagine the hysteria and the fear. He's gone through the house. Lisa, the poor girl, was a friend of theirs going, wrong place, wrong time. And he proceeded to, kill the 4 of them. I believe he got on his motorbike, jumped on his bike and threw the weapon into the ocean. From what I've heard, he drove to the Gap and threw it over the Gap. He then went home to his grandma's place at Cremorne in Sydney, where he was picked up by the police about 24 hours later, the following Saturday at some stage. That was the details there, and just horrific, John.
Absolutely, but when he went to the Gap, I wonder if he had thoughts of suicide.
Well, yeah, he
Because, did you know that
it would be no great loss?
Well, the police said later, they did say later, that he had previously watched videos or
of a
replays of a suicide,
yep.
A famous suicide in America.
And he had watched it over and over and over.
A treasurer on one of the estates over there, and he killed himself in public.
Yep.
And he watched it over and over again. Now, I can't see how that would have triggered what happened, but you must have thought, I wonder if he thought, after I do this, I'll kill myself. But then never had the guts to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think you're probably right. And he threw the weapon into the ocean. Yeah. But that's what I was told at the time of several people, that he chucked it over the gap, which is what Vaucluse over that way. Yeah. And yes, I reckon he would have had, I think you're right, but he was too gutless to do so anyway. But you've taken away 4 lives. I don't want to glorify this Richard fella by any means, because it's a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned. But yes, I realise that paranoid schizophrenia, it's terrible, and it is a terrible thing. And there is so much more help these days and medication. But when they arrested this fella at Cremorne, there was 5 odd weapons there, John. It was the obviously, sorry, not the shotgun, but there was rifles. So in total, 5 odd weapons, probably 22 Magnum. I had rifles. We all did in the 80s to pot bunnies, and we had different laws back then. But this guy's obviously got a lot of crap going on. I know another friend, a friend of mine, Richard, that's all I'll say. Before all this happened, the guy was also a really heavy pot smoker, which I was when I was younger too. Not now, but you know.
Well, they do say that if
that doesn't help the drugs with the situation.
Well, if you've got some mental health issue and you're a pot smoker,
and there's a lot of them that is.
It can make you schizophrenic.
It is. And Richard, my mate, was, and this is all years ago. We were young blokes, but said he was very strange. He was very quiet and very weird. But when he found out later, he went, "Oh, Mike, no one had any idea he was going to do this." He's not a big guy. He's about probably my size and skinny and, anyway.
I should point out that people do know my background, that I've spent quite a few years in prisons, and I've come across quite a lot of people who have murdered other people, and some of them have had mental health problems. And I want to get it across here that we're not saying that everybody who's schizophrenic is a murderer, a potential murderer, or even that they're dangerous, because they're not. But some are. Some are diagnosed in such a way that the authorities know they're dangerous, and that's why they get put away. And the fact is, you've got to look at this guy. What motivated him? He met this girl in '85. She rebuked him. He was a stalker for 2 years. The mother was taking out action. So he can't have her. He tells her he loves her and kills her. Now, okay, it's a form of madness, but we've all been through it. We've all been rejected. We've all gone through it. We've all been rejected. Now, the fact is that, as the father said, whether or not he forgave him, the father felt he should never been released because of this psychiatric illness that he had, because he could still be dangerous. He's proven that he could still be dangerous. He was one of those that had this schizophrenia where he was dangerous. Now, unfortunately, our system works in such a way that people will go to jail and do 14 years in jail for a bank robbery, but people will commit these horrific crimes, murders. They'll be classed by the courts and psychiatrists as mentally unfit. Therefore, the murders they committed, they weren't responsible for, and psychiatrists and psychologists work on them, give them drugs, and 6 or 7 years later, they're often out. The public don't know they're out. They could be living next door to you, and you know. Now, the big danger is a lot of them are let out because they're on drugs. They're special prescriptions, but there are cases where they stop, and I know guys now that are on prescription who don't take them, and they go.
If you go off your meds, you can go off the rails.
They've got one reason or another why they do it. They've got various reasons why they do it, and they're not supervised properly. Now, I went before a judge who gave me 23.5 years for a couple of bank robberies and escape, and went on and on and on about it. The same judge, his name was O'Keefe. A guy came up before him. Old guy, he murdered his wife. They'd been married for 35 years. He murdered his wife, strangled her. And O'Keefe let him off with a bond. And he gave the reason because the guy was on prescription medicine and didn't take it. Now you've got to say to yourself, whose fault is that? I didn't take my medication. I've murdered my wife, but I'm get through because I wasn't on my medication. But this guy knew what he was doing. He robbed a couple of banks. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, get 23.
Give him some blood pressure medication and lock him up. You know, that's the way it is, and it's happening all the time in the system that people like this Madrell are getting released without us knowing about it.
Absolutely.
And it's also putting a stigma.
Someone innocent in the public gets knocked.
Gets knocked,
killed for no reason whatsoever.
And even warned by the father who forgave him that he shouldn't be out. And he's been out a long time. He's taken 4 innocent lives. But it also
and how many people, how many families? He's just gutted the families.
It's gutted the families. And even going, you'll never get over it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
We're all shocked. And that's why I'm saying, too, that we should really understand that we're not stigmatising schizophrenia, mental illness, because most people who've got schizophrenia, most people who've got mental illness are treatable. They do come good.
They don't do these types. Most people don't do this.
They live normal lives.
That's right,
But when they die, when they've proven they can murder someone, I think once they've murdered, and we've murdered 4 people because he was rejected by one of them.
That's just insane.
Yeah, that's insane. And that's where I think our system really needs looking at.
Absolutely, and should have been looked at for years ago, but unfortunately I don't think they're going to do a hell of a lot about it.
Look,
like politicians, they talk about shit.
The Australian system, the Australian judicial system, and the whole law system that we've had it for 240 years. We've always thought about punishment, and we haven't changed. But mental health is a get out of jail free for some, as it was for this guy. But if you have a look, we've looked over the years and we've seen that there's been the Norwegian jails, the Swedish jails over in Holland. They've cut rehabilitation down in half. They've less sentences, less harsh on people. They don't treat them like real criminals. They give them a chance, to become a normal citizen, and it works. We know it. We've been getting told that for 50 years. We know it, but we don't implement it. We know the answers. We don't do it. We don't build rehabs. We build new jails. And people now, I've seen the jails I know because I've been in there, and what they're doing, they're becoming dumping grounds for mental health. They haven't got the facilities for mental health. Places like Cullen Park and all that, they've all been closed down.
Access to drugs in jail, which doesn't really help. It's a short-term thing. And
that's right. You know. And with mental health, and they get access to drugs, it makes them schizoid anyway. So it's just a stuffed system at the moment, and our authorities know it. They're building more jails. So I hope people see this and realise that these things don't have to happen.
That's right. As we said, it's just a tragic and horrific situation, but it's not. Unfortunately, there's many situations around the world like this where this has happened.
That's right.
And I don't want to. I just don't want to talk. I don't want to put this guy on a bloody pedestal because he doesn't deserve anything.
No, he doesn't deserve anything.
But the girls deserve the recognition. This hasn't been spoken about since 1987 that I can see, which is 37 odd bloody years.
The father in books. And
yes,
stuff
the
like
father, but like media attention, it was at the time.
Well, I didn't know about it until you told me about it.
It was big for a couple of months, and no one's talked about it since. No one's talked about these poor girls, that their lives and families that were just devastated by this barbaric, ridiculous and horrible act.
And I think it's great that we're able to highlight this here today in this podcast and pay tribute to the girls, to the families, and not to the monster who did what he did. Who's now walking among us.
He's free. He's free. They're not free. Their lives were torn, their asses were torn out, and he's free. We might be having a coffee or a drink and having a good time. Fuck you. It's just not right. It's just not right. So
it isn't. It's in case like this, the system gets it badly wrong.
It's just awful.
And we've thought we'd highlight. We've highlighted a few cases where we think the system got it wrong. We highlighted the case of Rogerson, in our opinion, murdering Lan Franchi.
Absolutely.
We've highlighted the case where a prison officer shot an escaping prisoner in the back and said he was running too fast, and we showed that he couldn't run at all. And we'll continue to highlight other cases as well.
And we will keep doing things like this, whether you think it's right or wrong. This is our views.
They need to be highlighted.
Absolutely, swingers. I think we're going to have some shots shortly of the house, which is just around the corner, just from the front. Again, just to give you an idea, not to glorify anything.
But when you see the house, just take a little time, look at the front door, and try and visualise that night when this bloody monster walked down there, knowing exactly what he was going to do. I don't see how you can get off on mental illness when you know what you're going to do.
Yep.
When you know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Of course he did. It's
just stop and think about it.
It's premeditated. You have the weapon. You did it. You did it. That's it. I don't know. All right, swingers. We'll get to some shots of the house shortly, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back, swingers. Okay, here we are. We are at the front of the house, Ryde Road. I won't give the number. So, I would like you all to go through this and picture what happened as best we know it. The guy pulls up on a motorbike, as I believe, parks the bike, heads straight down to the front door. It's approximately 9:30, 9:40 on the 23rd of January 1987. As said, the parents were, the son and father were coming to pick them up around midnight, and they were going to get an early start. This ringworm pulls up, he walks down to the front door, knocks on the door. The girls were excited, the 4 girls, and as I said, Lisa was a friend. So Jenny, the one that he was stalking and obsessed with, opens the door. This coward then proceeds to say, I love you, you broke my heart, you ruined my life, and then at point blank range, the weapon discharged, possibly blowing her head clean off.
Totally premeditated.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. The fear that would have gone through the other girls. So where the front door is, swingers, you'll come through the front door. To the left is the dining room and lounge room. The bedrooms were upstairs. To the right of that down there was a bathroom, I believe, and things like that. Well, I've been in the house. It's 37 years since I've been in this house. He then proceeded the way through. The girls would have been hysterical. I believe Lexi was the second victim. She's 16 years old, swingers, 16 years old. Then Kirsty, and I believe the last was Lisa. I'm also led to believe Lisa almost got to the back door. So through there, through the lounge, off the lounge, there was a kitchen and back door. This home would be, I guess, 1950s originally, and there was some steps going down the back, like quite steep steps. She got close to that, I believe. He killed her, ripped her life away, and then got back on his vehicle, which I believe is a motorbike, and drove from there, left the premises, drove to the Gap or thereabouts.
Had the presence of mind to do that.
Had the presence of mind, just got on his bike and put the shotty in with his bike or whatever, and drove to, I believe was the Gap, Vaucluse. Tossed it in the drink. It just says in the articles it was the ocean, but that's what I've been told off friends at the time too, that it was somewhere at the Gap or around the Gap. And then got on the bike again, went back home to Cremorne. I was a flat, I believe. His grandmother, he was living with his grandmother. He was 27 years old. The girls were 16. And went back home and, I don't know, had a few bongs, relaxed, and then the police picked him up the next day. Unbelievable, John.
It is unbelievable, but it's premeditated to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can have mental health.
Shotgun with rounds.
And mental health to me is when you see that people, they come home,
they
find their wife in bed with someone, they go off their brain and kill them on the spot.
Yep, been done many times.
That's been done many times.
Yep.
And, it's accepted in Europe and they almost get off free on it. But they shouldn't. But the thing is, that's mental health. They're pushed. This guy's premeditated this.
There's planning there.
He's premeditated this. Yeah.
Fuel the bike, get on the bike, grab the shotgun, grab the rounds.
So I don't see how you can get off on 4 cold-blooded murders.
Yes.
Innocent girls.
That was 4 murders. I'm sorry, it was.
And get off and be out like nearly a decade.
Yep.
So still a young man, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. From what I can picture and the stuff, he's been out about 7 years. That's approximately. We've got as much information as we can. So if it's not, exactly correct, swingers, forget it. Forgive us. We've done our best, but But I haven't been in this house.
It's very hard
for
to get that
years.
information about these people.
It is because he's protected. He's protected.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now we're going to wrap up. I'll be honest with you. This shook me up. We've done quite a few. I've done with Macca on this one, and we've done ones where people have actually been illegally killed. But this one, 4 innocent lives, and the impact come across me when I stood outside the house, looked in, and I actually envisaged that scene. And you know what? It'll always be there with me, even though I never saw it. even now, I know now what happened.
Yep.
And there are some crimes that are just horrific, and this is one of them. There's, Australia has a history of some horrible crimes. This is up there with them, I think.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad, I'm proud to be here and to be able to do this, and in honour of the girls, in honour of the family.
Yes.
And in honour of Sandy Macgregor as well, and the mother.
Yep.
Because I think that they've handled it pretty damn well for what they've done. And,
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well said, John. Thank you for coming today, mate. We really appreciate it, Swingers. It's been a bit of a horrible, horrific and heavy one, but as said, this hasn't been discussed in the media or by anyone since 1987, about 37 years ago. It's happening again, John, I'm guessing again.
You are.
This happened, this horrific crime. 4 lovely souls were taken, and we want to glorify their memory. Sandy, the father, I never met him. To you, sir, thank you. You're a better man than I. Mrs. Macgregor, who I did meet, had dinner there a few times as well. Lovely, lovely lady. Haven't seen for 37 years, and God bless you and all the best to you. And I just would have absolutely torn her ass out. God love you, Jenny. She was a really nice girl. They were great girls. Kirsty and Lexi were cheeky and more humorous. Jenny was very quiet and had to put up with me for a bit. Christ, there's an OAM straight away, Swingers, because I'll talk underwater, as you know. And Lisa too, her parents. I believe she lived at Beecroft. I believe her father was very high up, if not CEO of Westpac Bank. And these girls went to Barker College, I believe, at Hornsby. Lovely girls. Their lives it's just absolutely terrible. Their lives ripped away before they even got started. Really, John, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
But,
yeah,
they had our respect to you all.
They were just starting to learn to live, and it's a horrible thing.
It's a horrible thing. Our respect to you all, and you're always in our thoughts. And all the best, and the families. I'm so sorry, sincerely sorry, and that's what we wanted to get across. We want to glorify their short lives, and I'm so sorry for what happened. Just awful. John, anything else? Just awful, Swingers. Just awful.
I'm actually stunned.
Yep.
That just seeing the crime scene can do that.
Yeah.
And.
Just awful, Swingers. We've done some tough ones, but this is just awful.
This is probably the toughest one we've done.
Awful.
And I can imagine what you went through, and I can imagine what the parents went through, and the friends.
Well, nothing for me. All them. I mean, my God.
But it's just it's inexplicable these things happen. I guess it's got to go down to mental health, but it also means that if the mental health's that bad, then that person should never get out of jail, because it could happen again.
Horrific, and I just don't want to glorify anything of that person, just these beautiful souls.
No.
And anyway, Swingers, we'll be back real soon with something completely different and a bit of a surprise, bit of a big one, John, coming up. And that'll be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We've got a big one coming up.
You certainly have.
It is.
And then it could be an even bigger one after that.
It could be down the track. We've got a lot of surprises, but we can't say fuck all about it at this stage, but we have got some. Thank you very much to all our supporters and our 583 Swingers. Love you all. We wouldn't be here, mate. It's slowly growing. We're heading to 600. Thank you very much to everyone.
We need 1,000.
Thank you, Marcus.
We need 1,000. Do what you can for
Yes.
us. Subscribe. It costs nothing.
And also another lovely lady who was with here today.
We've got a very nice lady over here.
Behind the scenes. Come and say hello if you like. And thank you very much. It's up to you. It's up to you.
She did some of the camera work behind the scenes.
There you go. She's helped us out a lot today.
Everyone.
And your name is?
Tamara Killick.
Tamara Killick.
Tamara. It's a lovely name. And I got you to say that because I don't want to mess it up, and I'm shit with names. So thank you, Tamara. That was episode 37. And just, all the best, Swingers. And we've got a completely different one coming up soon. Thanks, Marcus, as well. See you soon.
Thank you, Marcus.
See you soon, and bye.
Good work. Now you come home like a big, strong finish.